Okay. It's
He
perfect.
took 4 years of Spanish, by the way.
4 years of Spanish. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. Thank you very much for tuning in today. We have two very special guests on tonight, both members of Center for Immigrant Progress, or of Immigrant Progress, one of the two. And we have Jael Mejia. Hello, Jael.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have Carmen Patlin, right?
Gracias. Yes.
There
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Good. I'm trying to practice my Spanish pronunciation. I got like an award in Spanish class in high school because I rolled my R's better than anybody else in class.
All right.
I'm not kidding. So anyway.
That's a good start.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself and share the mission of the Center for Immigrant Progress.
Sure. So I'll start. My name is Carmen Patlan, Executive Director of the Center for Immigrant Progress. The Center for Immigrant Progress was initiated 6 years ago by 6 young women of mixed status who felt that there was still gaps in services in Lake County, specifically services aimed at enriching the lives of immigrant families and empowering the young immigrant individuals seeking to pursue their academic success. And so our mission is to empower immigrant communities, especially those historically underserved, by building leadership, expanding civic engagement, and creating pathways for meaningful participation in public life. So bottom line, we're here to support and empower our immigrant communities in Lake County.
Wow, that's great. Okay. Jael?
Yes, and my name is Jael Mejia, and I'm the Director of Legal and Civic Engagement here at the Center for Immigrant Progress. And so that's one of our programs that, it's really active right now just because we focus on ensuring that people have access to high quality legal services, as well as education when it comes to people's rights, resources, and a lot of focus on fraud prevention. This topic, and we'll get into it in a little bit, is very complicated. And so we want to make sure that people have access to the right resources and that they're not getting taken advantage of.
Wow, that's awesome. And it sounds like a lot to do.
Yes.
So thank you for doing that. That's amazing. Okay, so what are some of the bigger challenges immigrants in your community are facing? Obviously ICE, but okay. That and what else?
Yeah, I mean, in general, immigration has always been a complex issue, but definitely right now, I think we're all finally becoming aware of just how complicated it is and how dangerous it could be for now, not just for immigrants, but for all of us. And so right now, many immigrants in our community are navigating a variety of different challenges, which include obviously fear and uncertainty around immigration enforcement, which has been increasing to a level that we've never seen before. But in addition to that, it's the limited access to reliable information, which, it keeps them in the same situation. There's also a gap to understanding as to why we even got to this situation in the first place. And so right now we're really focusing on educating even those that might not feel like they're directly impacted, because as we're seeing, by having members of our community be impacted by, having families be separated, not having the stability in their households, that's affecting all of our communities.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, I would add that a great deal of the challenges that impact our communities were already in existence even prior to the increased enforcement activity.
Right. Sure.
Immigrants have historically been underserved, historically do not have access to health coverage, do not have access to public assistance. Undocumented immigrants do not have access to resources like individuals that have status. And so historically, immigrants have been struggling. And so with the increased enforcement and the increased enforcement presence, of course, the fear is going to cause a lot of immigrants to go deeper into hiding. And so that causes deeper problems in the future. And so many of these families that we at the Center for Immigrant Progress work with have mixed status. And so there are individuals within the household that do have status. The children have status, and so therefore have access to and the rights to access resources. But, when fear extends, resources decrease because individuals living in fear are certainly not going to go out and seek the support that they need. So we're here to bridge those gaps. We're here to support the immigrant families through this crisis and beyond. Let's just be clear. Immigration has always been an issue in this country. There has not been an adjustment to the immigration system since Reagan. And so the system has historically been broken. And so there are so many unanswered questions as it relates to immigration reform. And so until that happens, and this country, as we know, this country is a country of immigrants. And so immigrants have been here from the inception of this country. And so for us to single out one community right now, later it could be another community. And so this is why it's important that we stand in solidarity with all people.
Yeah, no, very, very cool. Very well said. Yeah, no, I mean, my mother and my mother's side of the family are off the boat from Italy in 1956. I get that wholly, I mean, through lived experience. I mean, not nearly as I haven't had any sort of discrimination against me in my life because of anything. Just as a American male, I kind of fit into the safe category of things.
Yeah.
But I've had plenty of friends that have, I'll tell you a quick story. I won't mention the name, but like one of my best friends who was finishing his PhD in physics in out west is from Kuwait, and he's here on a student visa, and he's been here a long time. So I don't think there was any problems like technically with it. And his dad is a former ambassador for Kuwait. I mean, he's a very high profile, figure in the global political arena. But my friend got freaked out when Trump first started sending ICE out in the streets, and my friend just sort of preemptively took off, went back to Kuwait, and he's still there. This is probably about a year ago. He was so afraid of what could happen to him.
It's a valid fear.
Oh yeah,
it is a valid fear. I mean, we've been working with clients who have gone to the detention centers, who have been detained in detention centers, and they speak of the horrors and the inhumane treatment. And when we think about this, and we think about let's not let history repeat itself, we're watching history repeating itself as we speak. And so I walk around with my passport in my wallet. I have to be able to defend the reason why I'm here. And so how often do people have to take that into consideration, that you have to walk with your permit to be in this country?
Especially in a country where that shouldn't be the case. Under our constitutional system, that shouldn't be the case.
And that's the thing.
Go ahead.
There's a lack of understanding as to all the different types of statuses that exist in the United States. Most people don't know that it's not just U.S. citizens and then people that are undocumented. There's a wide variety of different statuses out there. And, even if you are in a pathway to eventually gain some sort of permanent status, it could be up to 20 years before you get to the end goal. And that, considering that, many times that with the different administration changes, they keep changing the end goal, right? And so getting to the end is almost impossible. So people don't really understand how difficult it is to even get to citizenship, right? And what a gift and a lot of times it's a lot of luck, right? Of being under the right administration who actually supports people naturalizing and making it to the end. This is not the administration that we're under. And so, they're actually making it so that more and more people actually lose their pathway, even if they were in the right pathway all along. They're putting obstacles to make sure they don't make it to the end. And so when people learn about that, I think there's a different type of compassion that people have for others, just because a status doesn't define a person. So that's super important.
And also, one last thing here is that, being in this country undocumented is not a federal offense.
No, it's a civil offense. It's a civil
offense.
Yeah,
and certainly not a federal offense that warrants
nothing that warrants
penalty.
the SWAT team breaking into your house at 3 a.m. in front of your children.
Correct.
No, I've had several people on the show say the exact same thing. Like, it's just people are like, the way they're going about it now is so overreaching and just obnoxiously outside the parameters of what should be. It's repulsive to me that anybody can even justify it. I know people that still think, ICE is good to go, and even with the killings in Minneapolis and stuff like that. I'm like, you're out of your mind. Let me see.
Right.
Alexandria Keating Sofiakis is asking saying not just that, but both parties are eager to deport first as a solution to the immigration issue. Obama was nicknamed the deporter in chief, and of course, we see what Trump is doing with ICE. That's a good point, Alexandria. Thanks for bringing it up. Is that the Democrats aren't exactly off the hook here, folks? Okay, because because Trump's such a tyrant, a freak. No, they did it too. You're right. Deporter in chief is exactly what his nickname was. Go ahead.
It was, but there were protocols in place, right? When Obama, due process, targeted. Yeah. This is lawlessness. Right. What is happening right now is lawlessness, and there is no due process. It's like I have been witness to the kidnappings in front of me, like people walking down the sidewalk because they look like me, you're going to snatch them. And I personally challenged Bavino, and I actually.
That guy is such a weirdo. You personally challenged him?
I did, and here I'm going public with this. I personally challenged him, and I just said to him, as he's playing rock paper scissors, deciding what area he's going to go and bombard,
terrorize.
I said to him, karma is a bitch.
Ooh, nice.
Just be aware that karma is a bitch, and before you know it, it's going to come back and get you. And look, it did. So he's out of the picture, and it's not over. There will be consequences to your lawlessness, and I feel like that's our responsibility. We need to hold our elected officials accountable, and we need to make sure that there's consequences to the lawlessness. This is a country of democracy, and so we can't stand on the sidelines and just wait to see what happens.
Yeah, but to add on to that comment, I mean, she's absolutely right about the Obama administration. I mean, he was so efficient with, his infrastructure and how he was actually, detaining and deporting so many people. He's the one who's deported the most amount of people than any president, even Republican presidents. So definitely this has always been an issue. I always say, let's look at why this is happening, right? Because we question, why isn't immigration reform? Why aren't we facilitating for people to actually gain status if they're, been here 10 years or more, contributing to this country, have families established here? But if we look at, who owns these detention centers, they're privately owned. And so this is a business, right? And so I think one of the silver linings for, people like me that have been doing this work for many, many years, and just kind of work within the system, I think for the first time, more people who are not directly impacted are actually raising their voice and saying, this is absolutely not okay. You're making business out of human beings, right? And so, it's nothing new. It's sadly, right? It's just gotten even worse now, right? Because now there is no due process, and there's not even any way to advocate for people because every rule has changed it to make it impossible. But there has to be change moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's well said. So like, can you be more specific about like the different programs and services you offer members or people who go to you?
Yeah, so with everything that's going on right now, we really focused on educating people about their rights. That's super essential, especially during the time of heightened enforcement, because maybe in the moment it might seem like there is going to be no solution. You're still going to get detained in an unlawful way, right? Without warrants. I mean, these people were carrying around blank warrants and filling them out later on, right? And not judicial warrants, administrative warrants that didn't even give them the authority.
Say that again. They were what?
So they were literally walking around with blank warrants and then filling them out later once they actually detained someone.
But they were not judicial warrants.
And they weren't even judicial warrants. They were just administrative warrants that any officer can just fill out, right? And so, right. And a lot of people didn't know that. And so it was educating people as to, making sure that they questioned, okay, do you have a judicial warrant and what do they look like? And even maybe not just immigrants themselves, but like business owners who would be the first person to address some of these officers when they would show up. We worked with a lot of schools to make sure that, their staff is aware. What happens if these people show up? What is your policy? Because at the end of the day, that made a huge difference when people would show up or ICE officers would show up, and at least they would be confronted with someone who knew what they were looking for and demanded a judicial warrant, and they wouldn't just be able to like rampage their way into any facility that they wanted to. So that was super important. In addition to know your rights education throughout, the community and allies, we also worked a lot with emergency preparedness. So that is super important. And we're still continuing to work in the community with that because, as I mentioned, our immigration system is so complicated that people don't really know what their options are, even if they are immigrants and they're dealing with this whole process. A lot of times, they think I filed my paperwork, I just have to wait, 10 years, I should be good. But actually they didn't realize that the rules changed on them and they weren't even aware, right? And so what we do is provide access to immigration legal services with high quality, well-informed and well-seasoned immigration attorneys. Not just any attorney. We don't just work with any attorney. Like, we really want to make sure that they're ethical and that they are being honest, right? Sometimes the best thing is for someone to know, do they have options or do they not have options? So that they either don't waste their time or that they prepare in case there is a detention. And we've seen that make a huge difference when people know, okay, they already got a tailored assessment to themselves, because that's another thing. Immigration is not cookie cutter. It's per individual, it has to be tailored to that person. And so once they know where they stand specifically, they're able to be more secure and know, okay, I should apply for something now. I have an avenue that I didn't even know about. Or worst case scenario, if I am detained, there's a lot of relief options that present themselves at that time, just because of the way our immigration system works, right? It makes no sense. You're not able to apply for something now, but if you get put in removal, now you're able to apply for some sort of relief at that time in court defensively, right? And so if you're not prepared, though, because the burden is on that person, to show that they qualify, that they've been here, for example, cancellation of removal. They've been here 10 years. They've contributed to this country. They've paid their taxes. They have U.S. citizen family members. But if you don't have the evidence ready to go, they're going to ship you out to another state, and the chances of you getting some sort of approval in a conservative state is almost impossible. And so by preparing families to be aware of what their options are, giving them access to adequate, information and legal guidance, and having them establish an emergency plan in case something happens, it's made a huge difference as to, how people are dealing with this emergency that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis.
So in addition to the Living Well Prepared programming that Jael just described, we also have extensive wraparound support services. We have case management that connects individuals to rental support, to utility support, as well as access to food to address the food insecurity, and then the mental health access points as well. We also want to highlight a really important program that it's called Rise and Lead. So for the longest time, we make 20% of the nation's population, yet we have very little to no representation in seats of power. And so we are developing a program for Lake County emerging leaders, individuals from 21 years old to whatever age, to 80. If you want to step into a leadership role, if you want to step into a position of power, you want to know what it takes to run for office, you want to know what it takes to be civically engaged. What does it mean what does a county board seat mean? What does a commission mean? What does the water commission mean? There are so many commissions, there are so many boards that we have no representation in. And so we feel that it's critical for individuals to understand, what does it take to run for office, and what does the power of my vote mean? And so we want to wake up our community to really realize that we do have a voice, and our voice matters. But if we're not at the table, we're not going to be heard. So Rise and Lead is an intentional program to really equip individuals to understand what that power means and to be engaged in that process. So know what it means to run for a school board like CLC, for example, or library boards, where you have a voice and programming can be developed to address cultural needs as well. So Rise and Lead is an up and coming program. We're launching this in April, and it's an eight-month program with the first cohort launching in April. And so we hope to develop more cohorts as this program continues to expand. And then in 1, 2, 3, 5 years, we're going to see a difference in representation.
Yeah, and it's fully nonpartisan, just educational focused. So we're really, really excited about this program and being able to have this as a resource for our community.
So it's nonpartisan. You got a lot of Trump supporters over there.
I mean, if they're willing to learn,
complete nonpartisan, but it's educational and it's intentional. And this program is specifically for Black and Brown community members, so that because we've been historically underrepresented.
Oh, that's for sure. Okay, well, that's very good. Sounds like a very, very well organized and very professional organization. It's not like how many people do you have on your staff, or like all together with volunteers, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh wow, with volunteers, so full-time staff members, there's 5 of us,
Okay.
And then volunteers, we have countless number of volunteers. We can't do this alone. We
definitely
also have,
we partner with a ton of pro bono attorneys who basically support what we do.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and other nonprofit organizations as well. And so we have learned to leverage our resources, and we love to partner and support each other out in the community. Just with the need in Lake County, we have about 45,000 people that are considered undocumented, right? And that's people that, aren't at the finish line, right? Because again, even having some sort of status that's a work permit, it's not good enough anymore, right? And so even with all the organizations out doing the work, we need to be more, right? We need to be out there doing the demand, meeting the demand that's out there. And so, the best way that we figured how to do that is leveraging other amazing people and attorneys who are dedicated to this work.
We also have a strong partnership with universities. NEIU, we have an internship program, and so we're leveraging capacity and manpower with interns as well, who are eager to be a part of the work that we're doing.
That's very cool. Do you know a local lawyer named Barbara Sussman?
What kind of law does she do? I just work with a lot of immigration
law. So so you're not familiar with her? I'm sure there's a lot of them around here.
Yes.
Okay. I was just curious because I know that's what she does.
Okay.
Very cool.
Hey, maybe you can introduce us. We are always.
Well, I've been trying to get her on the show for over a year, and she's
too busy.
I don't know how reliable I'm sure she's extremely busy,
especially now.
I don't know how reliable of a connection I am, but I'll try. So, is there anything else that people should know about the rights of towards ICE when it comes to ICE enforcement? You mentioned the warrant thing and.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we all need to know our rights, right? I think we saw that it wasn't just, a specific group of people being targeted. Even if people were not okay with the actions, they were also violating their rights, regardless of, if they were a target or not initially. But super, super important that people know that, ICE agents don't have all the rights to do whatever they want, right? And that it's important that we know how to exercise our rights and how to do it adequately because, at this point, it's dangerous even, to be in that interaction. I think, we all saw that at some point, how things escalated. And so there's a lot of training that goes into de-escalating and making sure that, you know what to do in that situation and how to support others when they're going through that situation as well. And so that's one of the main things that we really focus on is making sure that people were aware that this is not just an immigrant issue. It's important that we all stand up and not allow people to, violate our rights, but also how to manage the situation as we're continuing to see escalation. Misinformation is one of the biggest things that is affecting this whole situation. I think encouraging people to become aware of, what am I looking at? What are the rights that people have? And, how do I make sure that I am, yes, asked to have my rights be, respected, but also speak up for others who might not be able to do that themselves.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously the word right and rights is coming up a lot because that's what this is mostly about. And that's a very interesting issue, both, philosophically and ethically, like the difference between a legal right and a natural right, because technically all rights are natural. They're not,
right.
People don't allocate them to you. You already have them. Okay.
Right.
So I think that's one of the reasons that, I kind of get tripped up on this entire issue is like, the government gives you the right. No.
Right. And regardless of status,
no,
right?
We already have it. In fact, the reason for the Constitution is to protect us from the government trotting all over our rights. That's clear to see. I'm sorry, Carmen, did you want to say something?
No, I mean, it's our human rights.
Right.
Just to be clear, no
and
human
the right of movement and motion, and
Correct.
It comes down to like this notion of like property too. And I'm not like
Right.
a Marxist communist who doesn't believe in property. I do, but the difficulty I have with property is when it comes to like nature. Nobody owns nature. I own my shirt, I own my body, I own my labor, I own my stuff that I paid for and worked for. Okay, fine, that's easy. But like when a nation comes along and says that's our mountain range or that's our river, I'm like, no, it's not. Like, did you build it? I mean, what the hell do you have to do with a mountain range or a river?
Correct.
So like that's one of the reasons why I understand for practical reasons we should have national boundaries, but I think we really need to loosen that up a bit because what do you mean I can't go somewhere like on the planet that is free to me? Like that doesn't make any sense. The only reason I can't go here is because you won't let me.
Right. And migration is natural. I mean, it's happened.
Thank you.
Always.
Yes. This country started because of foreign invaders. So okay. So yeah,
100%.
That's my little philosophical rant there. Can you share a story that illustrates kind of the impact of your work? I mean, you got to have a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, when we were seeing the heightened of enforcement, like around October, we actually experienced, even though it was a negative situation, it was a success story for us and the work that we're doing. Again, we were working to prepare our families with our immigration legal program. And again, focusing on giving people access to immigration legal evaluations, doing emergency preparedness, which part of that emergency preparedness is not just tailoring it based to what the legal evaluation, decided and what the attorney recommended in each person's evaluation, but it was also making sure that, everyday things were taken care of. Power of attorney if you have minor children, because during the raids we saw that there were families that sadly, they lost both parents, and now who's taking care of the children, who's picking them up from school. Even if they had some sort of friend or family member watching them, they didn't have the legal authority to care for them properly, taking them to the doctor or things like that. And so part of that is establishing guardianship and power of attorney for property for people, again, to like plan for a worst case scenario and at least limit the trauma that kids were dealing with instead of, having a stranger watch them from one day to the next. And so we worked with a full family. Again, mixed status family. We had like 20 people that invited us to their home. We are really going out and meeting people where they're at. We know it's scary to, go to a public event. And so we go to them. We had a Know Your Rights session where all of them learned, from the oldest to the youngest, what to do, what to expect. If something happens, what are their next steps? We also made sure that they started collecting their documents, just to be prepared for the relief that they were available or eligible for. And then also we established guardianship and power of attorney for, the minor children. So all of that was done. And I kid you not, a week later, immigration picks up 2 of their family members, one of the dads and an uncle. And there's a video, so sad, but literally they knew exactly what to do. They didn't say anything. They clearly had their rights violated because they just basically targeted them because they were working outside. and they were taken. The family immediately contacted us. We were able to connect them to the right attorneys who were able to basically file a lawsuit against the government saying you can't just detain my family member and mandatorily maintain them there. Because again, there's changes where they're saying anyone who didn't enter on a visa is not allowed to be released. They have to be detained permanently. Even if they don't have crimes, even if they're eligible for certain relief. And so with this habeas lawsuit that was filed, they were ultimately able to be released. It wasn't easy. They were in detention, sadly, for about 2-3 months, even with all of that done right away. But ultimately, they were able to come back home to their families. And now they're in the process to try and actually, win their case in court and finally get their status. And so, although it was like a negative start, because of the work, the pre-work and the preparation that we did, they were both able to go back to their families and ultimately be released, which was huge.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy what they went through. I mean, one of the dads, he struggled with diabetes. They weren't giving him his medication in detention centers. He went in weighing like 165 and came out weighing 125, which is insane because I don't even weigh that as a woman, And so these are the kind of things that we're seeing, right, consistently. But again, if the family had no idea what to do, I mean, realistically, this man could have faced potentially death at this detention center.
Yeah.
And so that just really shows us the importance of our work.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's good news. I mean, it was a long, arduous process there and difficult. 40 pounds. Holy cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just very difficult to see. I feel like we're so caught up in the news about like, just ICE enforcement and detention, but we don't really talk about the realities of what does that actually look like for families, right? What are the hardships that people are going through, just being in a detention center. It sounds simple enough, like you're just waiting your turn to be processed, but no, they're in very dire situations where a lot of people's lives are at risk. And so it's not that simple to, just say, oh, it'll be fine. Like, let's not prepare. Like, we really can't take those chances. People need to be able to have the resources in order to prepare because, again, right now we can't control this administration. And so we don't know how much more of this we have.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, if they don't rig the midterms, hopefully relief is on its way. So, Carmen, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
No, I mean, there's countless stories that we can sit here and share of the inhumane treatment. At one point, a friend of mine said, why do individuals keep coming undocumented? Our brain is made up of two parts, one survival, the other compassion. Survival means that even if it means your life, you're going to seek a way to survive because that's our instinct as humans. And so we don't immigrate to this country. We don't come we don't leave our hometowns or our country for the pleasure of it. We leave because it's
our
survival.
Family, our friends, our history, our culture, you bet.
Correct. The Irish left because there was no way, they were starving.
Because the English stole all their potatoes.
Correct. And so
it goes back to, I'm sorry, real quick, just that other thing that's coming up now too, like with the whole Iran thing is like,
yes.
Well, the countries create your own enemies and your own problems by invading and toppling governments and coups and blah, blah, blah. So what do you expect to happen? Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, systems are designed to be disruptive like this. Right. And so who wants to flee and come to uncertainty? It's because it's of survival. And so that's why individuals migrate. And so even if it costs you your life, that's what your humane brain is telling you, like flee, because otherwise you're not going to be alive.
No, 100%. Yeah. No, we didn't even have like immigration laws until like 1914 or something like that.
Right.
Like literally up till then, it was just like, come on over, show up on and sign the little registry and you're good. Like we were supposed to have open borders the whole time. And I don't remember. I remember reading the story of why Congress changed it, but I don't remember the details, to be honest with you. So,
well, they were trying to limit a specific group of people that they want to come.
I'm sure it's always, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously. And it's like another thing I can't stand about like just the rhetoric going around now is like they try to pull they lie about the statistics of like, you know, the violent, you know, undocumented.
Yeah.
And sure, there are some, of course, but it's not nearly as many as they say it is. Okay. Like, you know,
Right.
you're not like,
I mean,
oh,
it helps
we're going
the
after
narrative.
the worst. It's like, no, you're not. You're going after with, you know, the father and the mother that are trying to just make money to raise their children. So, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, good old fashioned American values right there. And you're like, you know, taking them out for it.
Right.
So it's pretty repulsive.
Yeah, I mean, they have to like play that narrative, right? Because again, it just feeds into the misinformation. A lot of times because people don't understand, you know, the complexity of our immigration system, and, you know, they just want to label people who have civil offenses, right, when it comes to immigration stuff, as criminals. And, you know, it was kind of smart for them to say, oh, no, we're just targeting all the criminals. I mean, when you say it like that, it makes sense to anyone who doesn't really understand the issues, right? And what that actually means. And so I think a lot of people thought they were actually doing that until, you know, we opened our eyes and saw that actually that's just the excuse. But in reality, they are not going after criminals. They're going after everyday people. And so, you know, again, I think I always like to see the positive in all the negative, just because it's, you know, it's hard dealing with this every single day. Yeah. But the silver lining is that we have more people becoming aware and saying, wait a minute, that's not what you said you were going to do. And that's not right. And asking why, right? Like, wait, how does our system work? And why does it work that way? And, you know, it takes more people who are out of the situation, because again, a lot of these people don't even have a voice to vote or to change anything. We need allies that can actually question our systems, that have the power to do it, right? And so I think we're at a point where that's happening, and, you know, sad that it had to get to this point. I think all of us that have worked in immigration legal work have always known that this is a risk that we could, you know, eventually deal with. And now it happened, like all our worst nightmares have come to life. But it's like nobody really saw it as real, and they didn't really pay attention to it. And so now we have to look at it, right? Because we're seeing it. So, I mean, I'm hoping that moving forward, there will be some change because of everything that's happening.
Yeah, for sure. Are you lawyers?
No.
No? Okay.
So I am I'm working in the process right now through this organization. I've been a DOJ accredited representative in the past for a previous organization. And then I've worked at an immigration law firm leading the trial team. And so now under this organization, we're working to get DOJ or accredited through the Department of Justice to be able to provide legal support. And so this program is basically under the Department of Justice. They created it so that people could have access to high quality immigration legal services without having to go to like a random notary or anyone who doesn't have legal training. And so they require us to have extensive training in immigration, to have partners that, you know, support us, like the DePaul Legal Clinic and other attorneys that supervise us. And so that way it's accessible. You don't pay attorney prices, but you get the same high quality care. So you're not able to charge what an attorney charges, right? Because the whole purpose of it is for nonprofits to be able to be this new resource as well. And so I've been doing this work for like 12 years, right? I have extensive experience with immigration, and we continue to take trainings, and it's not something, again, immigration law changes all the time. It's not something you sit on. You really need to continue in order to maintain that accreditation.
But Jael is a paralegal by profession as well. And so, and I've been working in the nonprofit sector for about 20 years.
Oh, wow, cool. Very cool. Yeah. Actually, I work part-time in a law office, my buddy's law office, for a couple of years. And I just signed up for the CLC's Legal Studies Program certification.
Oh, cool.
So I can become.
Well, you better be careful, David, because we're going to recruit you to come and volunteer over here.
That's fine.
Yes.
I would love to help. That'd be very cool. Very cool. All right, cool. Okay, so like as far as like the immigrant experience goes, which is going to be vast because each one's is probably a bit different than any others, even though there's going to be commonality and overlap for sure. What do you think the general public should know more about that experience?
You know what I will say is that get to know us, not through the headlines, but get to know us by having conversations with us. Immigrants are people, we're more alike than not. And so we
Right.
just need to get to know each other, have conversations, get to meet your neighbors. Don't go based on what the rhetoric is that we're the worst of the worst, that we're all drug dealers, criminals, rapists, murderers. We are human beings that have all the desires and dreams as everybody else does. And so don't judge us by what the headlines are saying. Get to know us.
Right.
And so that's what we're saying. There is no one unique story of an immigrant. There's no one unique person, just like everybody else's story. It's unique and diverse and complex, but we're also full of dreams. We're also full of positive. We bring so much value to this country just by being who we are.
Right.
And so the one thing that I would say is just get to know us. Come and have lunch with us. Get coffee with us.
Like literally or metaphorically?
But literally.
I might take out. You guys, your office is in Waukegan?
Yes.
But I'm saying get to know your immigrant neighbors, literally. If you see someone, out working, you see someone at the store, just say hello and just get to know each other. We're neighbors. We're each other.
Right.
And so that's all we're asking for is to just get to know who your immigrant neighbors are.
Yeah, no, well said. I like that. Yeah, no, I mean, I worked, I know plenty of people of that setup, including my family. But and I never really understood what the problem was. Like, again, like you're saying, I mean, like they're good, typical, everyday people that are just trying to provide for themselves.
Yeah,
like,
it's very easy.
What the problem is.
It's very easy to other people when, you've never taken the time to kind of, have that initial conversation and things like that. And so I think what Carmen is saying is so important just because it takes something so simple to make a change in someone's, perspective, and being comfortable with being around with different people to yourself, right? Just opens up a whole wide, idea of what the world is actually like, right? It's like traveling, right? People say you need to travel because if you're just in this country, you don't know how other people, live and what they deal with and all the challenges that they go through. And actually, I might, throw a plug, Carmen. She just launched our teaser for a podcast called We Dream. And it's pretty much a podcast that's going to focus on telling the different stories of many amazing immigrants that have come to this country and all the contributions that they've made. So I don't know if you want to say more about that, Carmen.
So the intention behind this podcast is Soñamos, which is We Dream, and through the eyes of immigrants. And it's specifically to change the narrative. So the narrative right now about us is that we're the worst of the worst, but in reality, we're not. There are some powerful, powerful individuals. We're not just landscapers and housekeepers, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we're also brilliant individuals. We're professors, we're doctors, we are a vibrancy of people. And so the intention behind this podcast is to change that narrative and to change that mindset that individuals have or that they've labeled us as. So we do have dreams just like everybody else has.
Yeah.
And so we invite individuals to stay tuned, to join us in this podcast on a monthly basis where we will feature these amazing people that are here, that are your neighbors. And so we just ask that people get to know each other. If we know each other, there can't be a them. There can only be an us.
Yeah, right.
And, I have a friend who's Baha'i, and
that's interesting.
And he usually wears this T-shirt that says, we're all flowers from one garden. And there's only one race, and it's the human race.
Right.
And so there shouldn't be a division of black, brown people. It should be humanity. And so there's only one humanity.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Is your friend's name Mars?
No.
Okay, 'cause I know one Baha'i guy, and his name was Mars. I haven't seen him in years. It'll be,
No.
I've been to that temple a bunch of times. It's awesome.
It's a beautiful temple. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, and also like, I mean, I like talking to people about their cultures and their histories and their familial histories and structures, and like I like learning that and diversity of food. Like there's a meme going around on Facebook saying, "Look, if you don't like certain types of people, you're not allowed to eat their food."
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I think that's fair.
I mean, obviously, my favorite food is Italian, but authentic Mexican food is like a very, very close second. I'm not kidding. I love it.
Yes,
Okay.
I think everyone loves Mexican food. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of yeah.
I'm a little biased, but
Well, no, I worked with some people who came from Mexico or Central America, and so they'll bring in like authentic food. Man, there's nothing better than authentic.
There's nothing better than that.
There really isn't. I do notice that they have a higher threshold for heat than I do.
Spiciness,
Italians
yes.
don't really get into heat. I get into spicy stuff that much, but they put everything they serve is hot, which is
yes, I'm guilty of that.
But no, I love it, absolutely love it. So okay, so how can listeners like get involved with your organization or at least support it somehow?
So volunteers, and Giles could speak more to the volunteers, and then go, Giles. Speak about volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we encourage everyone to volunteer for our organization and get involved. Again, this might be a great opportunity to get to know, more people and, support your neighbors. And so we have some great opportunities. We've been working on this amazing accompaniment program. We're building up our volunteer base, and it's basically consists of people taking a training on accompaniment, focused on, people right now have to continue to go to court or check in with ICE, or, go take their fingerprints or biometrics for any type of, immigration legal process. And it's very scary for people to do those, typical things that in the past would have been just, a procedure and not a big deal. Now they don't know if they're going to get detained and if, their families are going to find out, or if anyone's going to even realize that, this happened. And so we are vetting our volunteers. We're training them. We're explaining to them, what each process looks like. We have them run, a background check and all that good stuff to make sure that they can, participate with us. And then eventually they would be an accompanier to someone that might need to do a process like that. And so again, we're not focusing on them stopping a detention or anything like that. That's not going to be the focus. It's really just being there for the person and supporting them emotionally through that process. And then being, eyes out, watching what's happening. And so if, someone ends up being detained, they know exactly how to contact their family or if they have an attorney, right? Because that's one of the things that while I was at the firm, you see there's a gap, right? Where an attorney doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to ICE check-ins and things like that and can't prevent someone being detained either. And then clients would be so scared that they would say, oh, I'll pay you whatever, but come with me, attorney, right? But the attorney's not going to be able to do anything in that moment anyways. What he needs is, okay, if you're detained, now I need to, file something and do work. There's no point of me standing around and seeing if you get detained or not, right? And so we want to fill those gaps where volunteers can be there and notify someone right away. And then that way that person doesn't have to, go alone and be scared and not know if someone will be able to notify their loved one or their attorney right away. So that's one of the ones that we're building up. We saw ICE enforcement lower, but again, we want to prepare because we anticipate that there will be more ICE enforcement in the near future, and we'd rather be overly prepared than be caught off guard again. These volunteers could also help with simple everyday things like, taking kids to school, picking them up, or taking people to work, all of these things. And so if anyone's interested, that would be great for, people to reach out and participate and support our community in that sense.
Nice.
Other than that, there's other things like hosting Know Your Rights presentations, or, again, it's not just Know Your Rights for people that are impacted, but also allies who, want to educate, their family or a group of their friends. So we've had like house meetings where, we share this information, and it's really people wanting to know, okay, I need to understand these issues better. I want to know what's actually happening and what else I can do, to advocate for policy change and things like that. So those are two of the great opportunities that we really, really encourage to do.
As Giles mentioned, the allyship training is, if you don't understand a system, it's assumptions that come through your mind, right? So understand the system, understand how the system is structured, and also how the system is not structured to benefit all people. And so this training is a little bit of the lay of the land of what is happening with executive orders, what is happening currently as this constant ever changing immigration system. And so if the community is informed and understands what is happening with the system, then you're better able to understand how you could be supportive and advocate for just immigration reform. So that's one of the other trainings that Giles does, along with the Know Your Rights. The other way that people could support the organization is, we're a nonprofit. We depend on grant funding and the generosity of donors. And so if individuals want to donate to support the work, then please visit our website. There is a donate button on our website, and our website is centerforimmigrantprogress.org. And so any donation is helpful. We support individuals. All of the work that we do is free. We don't charge anything. Consultations with attorneys are free, and our services are free. So, but we're only able to do that with the support and the donations that we get from generosity of community. And so if you know anyone who would be interested in also supporting the work that we do, please share our website and connect them to our organization, so that individuals would be able to support what we're doing. And I appreciate this opportunity, David, to get to know you, to get to know us, and to share in your platform so that others may also get to know the work that we're doing in Lake County. And hopefully we'll be more informed and more neighborly, and we'll be able to just get to know each other that much more. And that's all we ask. That's all we ask. It's like, let's just be neighborly and stand shoulder to shoulder with people that sadly don't have status, and sadly should have access to just immigration reform processes. But just because you don't have status doesn't make you less of a human. And so let's never forget that.
Quite specifically not. Yes. No, you're absolutely correct. And thank you for that. And thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. This is what the show is for, just get Lake County people informed on what's going on so they can participate or just at least, spread the word about different things. So yeah, no, I appreciate it very much. And
if I may just add one last thing, David, yeah. I know that not everybody is on the same, we don't all see eye to eye. But no. the one thing that we can agree upon is that there is only one race, and it's the one human race, and that we are all human beings at the end of the day. Right. And so let us not just be, judge each other because I don't have status, or because I'm Black, or because I'm brown. Let us work on getting along because we're all humans.
And you should be able to find all you're saying in any one of your respective religions. That's another part of this. Right. Like, it's all over the Bible. Okay. Right. What you're saying. And that's, another thing too, like, I understand, like, you have like these supposedly devout Christians or whomever in politics, like, championing, deporting these people. I mean, you're deporting Christians, right? You know that, right? Right. Your own brothers and sisters, right? You get that, right?
Correct.
I mean, yes. Not to mention all the other, don't judge and, be kind to the stranger. I mean, there's 8 billion different references in the Bible.
Correct. Right.
So I'm just saying this may trigger someone in a negative way. Like, okay, why are they helping someone that's illegal? Well, let's just clarify: human beings are not illegal.
Thank you.
Human beings are human beings.
Just for being a human being, you are not illegal. If you commit an actual crime, then there's something wrong.
Yes.
And again, a civil offense is a traffic ticket is a civil offense.
Right.
Okay, it does not warrant somebody bashing your window and dragging you out of your car while your kids are screaming in the backseat.
Right. Well, thank you so much.
Crimes are not just being done by immigrants. Crimes is all across. So it's just.
I've known lots of people from other countries, and I can probably use one hand to count the ones that I didn't prefer out of the hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds that I've met over the days.
Yes.
Over the years. Okay. They're fantastic. I mean, I know people from Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and all these other, countries, and they were wonderful human beings, Muslims, and they were fantastic. Most people are just regular everyday people. Wanting to just live their lives and take care of their family and their kids. I mean, that's right. And hang out with their friends and participate in activities. That's about the extent of the human condition, folks. It is not rocket science to be a good person. Okay, so it's really not. So thank you both. Thank you so much for coming on. Center for Immigration Progress. Definitely.
Center for Immigrant
Progress. Thank you. I have like 8 billion more questions. Can I have you back on in maybe a few weeks?
Yes, of course.
I mean, there's a lot of questions that came to mind as you were talking about other stuff.
We can talk about this all day. So
you really could. Like you said, immigration, from every angle and every aspect of the process is very.
And in a couple of weeks, who knows what might happen? So we might have updates. Who knows? I mean, things are shifting so much. So
this guy in the office is. Anyway, okay. All right. Any final last things you want to say about the center or anything else, or are we all good?
So thank you again for the invitation. Yeah. We are located in Lake County. We serve all of Lake County and beyond. And again, thank you for the support. If anyone wants to learn more, reach out to us through our website. And we'd love to have one-on-ones. Let's just get to know each other.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jael.
Thank you.
Carmen, thank you so much for coming on. Let's Talk Lake County. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, David Rich. Till next time, keep talking. Ladies, wait one second. If you don't mind.